So the film definitely borrows aspects of other well-known characters and story arcs that we have seen before. There's a lot of hunting metaphors, all the abs in the world. I mean, there is a lot of abs on show in this film. Interesting choices made in terms of accents, but overall, this film was enjoyable. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Tom Marshall Media Podcast. Today, we are going to look at a new release, a film called Kraven the Hunter, a Marvel Sony production. Let's get into it. Alright, so the film is directed by J.C. Chandor, a new director who I've not heard of before. But I have seen one of his films that he made for Netflix, a film called Triple Frontier, which was pretty decent. So not too bad there. It stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ariana DeBose, Fred Hitchinger returns to the channel again. If you may remember, he was in Gladiator 2. Russell Crowe and Alessandro Nivola. Okay, so not too bad cast there. The budget and the box office for this film are yet to be released. So, you know, it's still unknown as to the details of the budget and so on. So, although typically with a film of this size, especially with Marvel and Sony, they generally tend to throw everything but the kitchen sink at this film. So no doubt it'll be quite a high price tag, possibly in the hundreds of millions of dollars. You'd expect that from a film of this type, of this size, and yeah, they really want it to do well. So they throw everything at it. So we shall see later on. Hopefully, the details of it that will be released, but as of yet, we don't know. Okay, so the story is about two brothers and their tough relationship with their father, who brings them up in a very primal and old-fashioned parenting style, um, teaching his sons to be fearless, to show no weaknesses for their enemies to exploit, for their enemies to take advantage of. That's his style. It's like you are strong at all times. The father, Nikolai Kravenov, that's Russell Crowe's character, wants one of his sons to take over the family business, a business that he built from the ground up, a worldwide criminal enterprise. While on a hunting trip in Africa, he teaches them the way of the hunt and the life skills that it can give you in the real world. This is where they hunt the biggest, most dangerous lions ever. Sergey and Dmitri, that's Fred Hitchinger's character, Sergey being Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, are confronted by this lion. Sergey freezes and is attacked by the lion and dragged back to its den after being brutally ripped apart. Another family is on safari, and the little girl that is on the back of this jeep isn't really sort of interested in what's going on around her, but she hears the roar of this lion and disappears. The little girl is called Calypso. This is Ariana DeBose's character, and discovers Sergey's body all mangled and mashed up from the wounds he sustained from being attacked by the lion. Sorry. Um, she gives him a magic potion from an earlier scene, and later in hospital, Sergey is pronounced dead for 3 minutes and suddenly wakes up out of nowhere. In his teens, Sergei sort of discovers he has extraordinary powers and goes on a journey of self discovery and becomes Kraven the Hunter. Also, on this trip, Nikolai is socializing with the other people who have joined him on this expedition. A man named Alexei approaches him with a business proposition, um, but ultimately Nikolai denies him. This fuels his character for revenge and becomes the character the Rhino, um, the main antagonist for the story, and is hell bent on being top of the food chain. Sergei soon takes on the role as Kraven the Hunter and is on a quest to seek all the bad guys on his list. He develops a reputation, and the main phrase they use is basically, if you're on his list, you never come off it. Ultimately, this is a coming of age revenge story about growing up with these powers and working out who Craven the Hunter is as a person, uh, and that's basically it, really. So the film definitely borrows aspects of other well-known characters and story arcs that we have seen before. There was an element of Shakespeare in this film, and I use that lightly. Um, the relationship between the father and the sons, wanting his legacy to live on through them. There's a lot of shared characteristics of Tarzan in this film. I felt sense of having a connection with the wild and the animals and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's definitely sort of like a Tarzan-esque sort of character vibe going on in this piece. Although I didn't realise lions could climb up tall buildings, but hey ho, that's the suspension of disbelief for you. Um, you'll know what I mean when you watch the film. It's very odd, very odd. There's a lot of hunting metaphors. Nothing but abs. All the abs in the world. I mean, there is a lot of abs on show in this film. Believe Aaron Taylor Johnson had a personal trainer and trained for months on end to prepare for the role, as you would expect from a Marvel's type of film. Sony superheroes film, they all want their actors to not only be able to do the action but also look the part as well. So yeah, which is not a bad thing. You know, you don't want to have a fat superhero. Not, you know, not what you want really, but they really do have that superhero look, which is good. So yeah, all the abs on show. There's some pretty intense action sequences, most notably a car chase scene across London, which was very, very good. In my naivete, I was like, surely did they shoot this in London? Surely not. But you know, they must have like closed the roads down or closed like an area of London off. But how could they? Like, it's London, capital city. They can't stop a whole city just so that they can film this one scene. They would never be able to get permission for that. Maybe they worked around it and shot in another city to look like London. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. There were some interesting choices made in terms of accents. That's all I'm going to say about that. But overall, this film was enjoyable and fun with some great action sequences, and I believe that we'll probably see more of Kraven the Hunter prop up in other Marvel films as well, no doubt. I'm sure they have some big plans for this franchise going forwards. maybe as standalone films, or maybe popping up in like the next Spider-Man, possibly, or in another Venom film if they ever do another one. So we'll see where he turns up next. I would give this film a solid 7 out of 10. Would recommend you give this film a chance and basically enjoy it for what it is. It's a superhero film. That's what it is. So yeah, definitely give this film a chance. Let me know what you think in the comments about the film, whether or not you had a similar take to what I had, or something completely different. So yeah, like I said, very similar story and character arcs and characteristics that we've seen before, but otherwise told in a new and sort of fresh and unique way. So yeah, very good film, well worth your time. Check it out. Hello, film nerds, back again for another new segment. We're going to look at the latest stories that have come out in terms of film news. There's a couple of stories that I found pretty interesting that link to a couple of stories that I talked about in the last video. So let's get into it. The first news story, Hayley Atwell is going to be reprising her role as Captain Carter, and going to be in the Avengers Doomsday, which is safe to say, basically, if Hayley Atwell's coming back, Chris Evans is going to be back as Captain America. Judging by her casting, so that's an interesting choice. Be good to see what they do with that Doomsday film. So yeah. A new Malcolm in the Middle series is in development right now with the original cast, Frankie Muniz, Bryan Cranston, and everyone else. I actually find it quite funny that people have this conspiracy that the character in Malcolm in the Middle is actually Walter White, who is in witness protection, which is quite amusing, to be honest. It's quite an interesting connection there, but he's an actor, guys. He plays different roles. That's what actors do. Not everything is all the same thing. Also, in other news, Prison Break is coming back with, again, the original cast, I believe. Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell, they're all coming back, I think. So a lot of old shows being remade. Okay. And finally, because it's Christmas and there's a lot of press going around for Christmas movies and stuff, and Jim Carrey's been doing a lot of press for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic 3 rather. In an interview, he basically said that he'd like to reprise the role of the Grinch, with a few conditions. I don't know what the conditions are, but I'd imagine less makeup time, because apparently when he originally did the role, it took him like 8 hours of makeup to get in the whole suit and everything. So yeah, I'd imagine that's one big condition that he has. But yeah, that's your lot. I'll have more news hopefully in the next video, but it's been a busy week of news. Yeah. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to this channel. It makes a big difference, and I shall see you in the next video.